Hello, everyone. We are back. It is after the Oscars. The Oscar ceremonies have happened, and we are here to talk about it. There was a lot of dull,
yes,
and then there was a lot of surprise.
that too.
You know, so generally, what did you think of the ceremonies itself?
I thought it was pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not at first, just because, like you said, there were some predictable categories, and I know
Right.
we'll get a little deeper into those. But I think once we saw Parasite
Mm-hmm.
stepping up and winning awards, you could tell
Yeah.
there was a change of the tide in place, and that made things really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. That was the big thing, really. When it comes to me, I actually thought it was pretty dull, and if that didn't happen, it would have been a pretty boring Oscars, honestly. In my opinion, anything else stick out? General openings before we get into. Probably should start with the big upset, but what do you think of anything else you want to discuss before we get into that?
Just in terms of general stuff, the show now, since it's adopted the hostless format, it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
It feels like it's at such a quick pace anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about. Let's just get into it. Parasite takes down 1917, which was not. We thought that was the film that could do it.
Yes,
You
we
know,
did.
obviously, 1917 was the heavy favorite going into tonight. But like we said, if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be Parasite, and the ball just rolled, and no one could stop it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What did you think of the big Parasite win tonight?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
Again, I am a big fan of 1917, so
Right.
I know I said here that I was hoping it would win everything I possibly
Right.
could. But to see something as fresh and original as Parasite actually get the accolades
Right.
for it, when it didn't seem like maybe it would go in that direction, especially like with the Academy. This ended up being a year you just didn't know what could happen. Like Green Book. It made it, when Green Book won last year, it made it seem like the Academy was falling back into old habits.
Yes.
And I really wasn't sure about Parasite's chances in the main categories.
Right.
We did think it could be a spoiler, but I'm not sure if we thought it would actually happen. We knew it could, we weren't sure if it actually would. And then it did, and you kept seeing them just knock down all the categories.
Right. You saw kind of the Academy go against itself, starting with Best Original Screenplay. Parasite takes it over Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that really should have been the key indicator. But I think we're just so cynical about you're gonna fall back into your ways. This is this is the one bone that they will give that they'll give Bong Joon-ho and Parasite. They're like, okay, we'll give them screenplay,
right,
and they won't get anything else. In any other year, though, we probably would have been like, geez, this movie is headed toward Best Picture.
Oh, right.
Because you've got, I believe, 3 out of the last 5 years, the movie that won Best Original Screenplay won Best Picture. I believe Green Book and Spotlight were the others. And I believe 6 out of the last 7 years, it's been whoever won either screenplay category. I think, interestingly enough, the only one that didn't win Best Picture was Get Out in the last 7 years.
Oh, that's a great point.
Which actually won Best Original Screenplay. Shape of Water won Best Picture. So that's really where we should have seen the ball start to roll. We didn't. Well, I didn't. Did you?
I was wondering, but I just figured okay, Parasite's gonna get Best International Film, and that's great,
Right.
And then when I picked this up, I was like, oh, that's fantastic. The originality of it's being recognized.
Yeah.
But that's probably gonna be it. I did think that.
Right. But then we reach director, and my TV's on a little bit of a delay, so I'm kind of more so watching Twitter because. I was getting the Academy alerts from Twitter before I was getting them on TV.
Oh, okay.
So all of a sudden I go, and as you know, my friend Jason is watching with me. He's just like, "Will you just watch the telecast?" And you're just like, because he knows what I'm doing. I'm just like, "But I want to know." And it's Bong Joon-ho. Parasite wins Best Director, and Bong Joon-ho comes up, and he seemed to think, we'll get more into the speeches in a minute, but he comes up and he keeps kind of going like, well, I'm gonna go enjoy some drinks, and it's great to be up here. And to that point, I start tweeting. I'm just like, Bong, I don't think this is the last time you're gonna be up here. I mean, at that point, you had to figure Parasite's gonna win Best Picture, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I still wasn't sure because we had talked in our last video, maybe they were going to split this. Maybe they were going to give Bong Joon-ho Best Director and give 1917 Best Picture, because that has happened before.
Yes,
with these two main categories. You have two films that are so excellent that you end up splitting it up between them. So I wasn't exactly sure that it would win Best Picture, but when you tweeted that was an excellent observation because it set the path that they could, that they could take it, and they did.
Exactly.
Which, when they announced Best Picture, I don't usually curse, but I definitely said something that I could not repeat on Twitter. So my response on Twitter was definitely more measured than what I said in person, just because I couldn't believe it actually happened.
Right.
It almost reminded me of the battle between La La Land and Moonlight a couple years ago, because there was so much certainty that La La Land was going to get this based on the Academy's preferences to that point.
Right.
And I mean, it didn't help that there was the envelope confusion. If you take that out of the equation, then Moonlight won, you're like, oh wow, this great picture, actually won the award for its originality, and just how refreshing it was. So it was a similar deal here. Right,
and that is the exact comparison to use. This is the Moonlight win. It's pretty much the exact same thing. And I'm gonna touch about the comparison a little later.
Sure.
I just want to say that I would have thought that 1917 would win Best Picture if Parasite only won Director. But when it was paired with Best Original Screenplay, I was just like, oh man. When it won Best Picture, at that point, I was like, I basically had the audible gasp for Director, because that was more of a, oh my god, it's going to win Best Picture. Mm-hmm. And 1917 is going to somehow fall from where it's, from where it was winning all these awards, which, just to talk briefly, I treat the Oscars as sort of like a game, sports, like watching some sort of sporting event. Mm-hmm. And, I was rooting for 1917 because that was my favorite movie.
Well, same here, yeah.
Yeah, and so when I saw the ball rolling that it was going to be Parasite, I was kind of like, but at the same time, you have to realize that we have come so much further now. A year later, going from Green Book to Parasite, I mean, that's a huge leap. And, there comes a point where you kind of have to set aside how you feel about a film and realize, and like we said, Parasite was definitely number 2 for us, right?
Right, yeah.
In this category. So I think that you have to be happy with a number 2, which is also a great film, which we also give a 5 out of 5 on our website. Mm-hmm. And it's just, you just have to be happy that a film like Parasite could win, the history behind it, and what it could mean. And so I have to be delighted today, even though the film I was rooting for didn't win.
No, I'm the same way. I feel split about it too. I love 1917. We both gave it 5s. We also both gave Parasite 5s.
Right.
So to see Parasite kind of rise up, it seemed like it had been picking up momentum at the BAFTAs. So, but that doesn't always translate here across the ocean. Yeah. So the way it happened, it was so joyous to see Bong Joon-ho and the cast. Like, every time they would win, just the smiles on their faces, because they didn't expect to win.
No. And I even think Bong Joon-ho took a shot at the Oscars before the Oscars in his last speech, right?
He might have.
Yeah, I think he did. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, it was just great to see. And I think that adds to it. Seeing these people on stage, and it's one thing when they win. It's another thing when you see the genuine joy and the things that they say. I thought it was really classy for during Best Director when Bong Joon-ho came up and gave basically said he wishes he could Texas Chainsaw Massacre this Oscar and
That
give
was
it to the
funny.
5 of them.
Mhm.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was extremely classy. He shouted out Quentin Tarantino, Martin Scorsese. He
Mhm.
shouted out all of them, and you know, it was just very fitting because despite his admiration for them, he had to realize that he made a better film than them this
Mhm.
year. So, hats off to Bong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I just want to talk quickly now about 1917. Oddly seems like a loser.
I know, like
Yeah.
when I was writing like some takeaways for
Yeah.
our blog for this morning,
Yeah.
I ended up using like kind of as a subhead like 1917 admits defeat.
Right.
And it's not like it came away winless.
No.
1917 it won 3 awards. It actually has the second highest tally because Parasite
Right.
came away with 4.
Mhm.
So it did well. But its wins were relegated to the technical categories.
Right.
So you had cinematography, which I think we all knew that was a lock
Absolutely.
for Roger
Absolutely.
Deakins. Roger Deakins' tremendous work.
I had typed it out and I was just ready to hit send
Same here.
On Twitter. But yeah, again, this is another area where I think we should have seen like the tide turning when, and good for Ford versus Ferrari, winning, getting sound editing,
Mhm.
getting film editing. But once it got sound editing over 1917, maybe we should have seen
Yeah.
maybe we should have seen this rolling because I thought that those the sound categories were a lock for 1917 because they just usually tie goes to the war film.
Exactly, yeah.
But I have it written down later in the show, but I mean I guess we're here. Big wins for Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah, I
know?
was surprised by that.
Yeah.
Before
For a
the,
film we thought would be forgotten.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Before the Oscar nominations were even announced, I wasn't sure that film was going to make it into the Best Picture category, to be honest.
Right.
And for it to come away with 2 awards really
Yeah.
says something about the quality and the artistry of that film.
Absolutely, and you said it best. Just the sound of the cars, and it was just. It really was beautiful to kind of watch.
Yes, yes.
And they did do a great job with that. So it's great to see. It's great to see that get recognized. And once film editing came up, I'm just like, I think Ford versus Ferrari is going to get this too, and it does.
It's really difficult to translate just the excitement of racing to film, in my
Right.
opinion. Like, I helped cover the NASCAR races at Pocono for our paper. So when I was sitting in the theater and just the way the film opens with the race cars on the track, and then you see the Le Mans race through, at the end of the movie, that's the whole third act of the movie.
Right.
It was
Right.
spectacular. It was breathtaking how James Mangold translated that to the screen.
Definitely.
And with that said, just the way the film was edited, I feel like you were right there as part of the racing action.
Absolutely.
So I'm really happy to see them be recognized for that.
Yeah, and I totally agree. Let's kind of move on to Netflix.
Ooh.
Kind of shut
Netflix.
out here. I've got there may be more nominations, 20-ish nominations for Netflix.
24, yeah.
So, yeah, 2 wins.
2.
One that we already knew was going to happen, and American Factory, right? Documentary feature
Yep.
American Factory. What do you think of Netflix? Kind of
It's a big
fallen
fall,
short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big drop for them.
Yeah.
They had a really good year last year with Roma, and I think that
Right.
helped them out in terms of garnering nominations this year. But I think the big problem with Netflix this year is that most of their eggs were in one basket, The Irishman.
True. That's true.
And that film had lost a lot of momentum by the time that we came to the Academy Awards. I still thought it might win something just
Right.
because it had seemed like there was a lot of admiration for Scorsese's work.
Yeah.
But I think maybe this went one of 2 ways. Either people realized, like us, that it was a good film but not a great film.
Right.
It was a bloated film.
Yes. Yes.
And maybe there's still some concerns about a Netflix movie winning such big
Right.
honors.
Right.
I was reading some of the secret ballot Oscar articles that were coming out in the days before the awards.
Yeah.
And yeah, it seemed to me like people might have still been a little iffy on the whole Netflix deal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in areas that maybe, and I'm sure we'll get to this too, is the actor categories just staying put, staying the same. Maybe we could have seen some sort of upset with a Joe Pesci in supporting actor, and maybe it could have won adapted screenplay.
Right.
But JoJo takes adapted screenplay, and like I said, the actor categories stand put, which was honestly, it was a little disappointing. That kind of added to the dullness of the Oscars. But I was surprised to see it get shut out. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, like same here.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about it before. Like it was nominated for editing, but this is a 3.5-hour movie, so I don't think its odds were good in that category. And the aging technology in the visual effects category that was nominated for seemed to be pretty divisive amongst people.
Yeah.
I thought that I found it impressive, but that doesn't mean there weren't some weak spots that were kind of visible in that movie, and other people apparently weren't really thrilled by it either.
Right,
so.
exactly. And when you're talking about Marriage Story, you look at the actors. I thought maybe we could have got an upset from Scarlett Johansson. Maybe we wouldn't have got an upset for Adam Driver. I'm kidding. But those were the movie's strengths. Noah Baumbach wasn't nominated for Best Director, so they didn't have an option there. Best original screenplay. You're going up against Parasite. You're going up against Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's just basically, I just thought Marriage Story had an uphill battle entering the night, and it won for Laura Dern, as she had done all awards season. I mean, maybe we could jump to that and just talk. Tell me how you felt about basically the actor categories going the same way as they have the entire season.
Yeah, that's the thing with the actor categories. Like, there's usually a surprise every year in them. Like last year, for instance, it seemed like Glenn Close was locked to win Best Actress, and so you had Olivia Colman rise, which was like, it was such a nice surprise this year, win last year. And I was hoping we'd see that in one of the categories this year. And if I had to bet, I would have bet on Best Supporting Actress, which means my bet would have been a bad one because Laura Dern has been winning everything for it.
True.
But I think you had room there with Florence Pugh in Little Women and Scarlett Johansson in Jojo Rabbit. Just those two performances were phenomenal. I was really hoping one of them, would have been voted in, but that wasn't the case.
Right.
And for the other winners, the performances were still good. It was kind of hard to go against them. And thanks to Joe's brilliant idea for our cover here, I'm actually dressed like an Oscar winner, Brad Pitt.
That's true.
Which I actually really liked his acceptance speech because
it was good. It was good.
Yeah, like he explained how his character had empathy. Actually, I really liked the way that he explained his character, and that helped me to understand a little bit more about why he's been the front runner for this category. With that said, I wouldn't have minded if Joe Pesci had won.
True.
I did think he was really solid in The Irishman, but it was nice to see Brad be recognized after all. He's had a 30-year career, and this is his first acting Oscar.
That's true, and I think I may have enjoyed his speech the most. He accomplished so much in the 45 seconds he had.
Right.
Thanking his parents, thanking Leo, his kids. He was able to hit on a lot of. He was able to hit a lot of areas, and you kind of felt, even though he's this like mega star, and he's been this mega star for years, he just kind of hit you as a regular guy.
Yeah, like he has his feet on the ground.
Yeah,
I got that vibe too.
So that was really cool. I believe there were a lot of thanking of parents. Actually, that was kind of a theme, which was cool. I think Laura Dern thanked her. Well, she did thank her parents. Joaquin Phoenix had an interesting speech.
It's being talked about a lot today. Yeah.
I don't really know how to feel about it. He went for something though, and you can't, he tried to make a statement. He sort of meandered, but I thought he tried to make a good statement. And you got to be you got to give that credit, I would say. You know.
I liked when he addressed his personal growth.
Yes,
honestly.
exactly.
I don't imagine that's an easy thing to do when you're on stage. So he must be feeling pretty comfortable with himself and his place in life right now, because he's definitely had his struggles. So I thought it was nice to hear him address that and just say to people in the industry, like, hey, I've been a scoundrel and I'm sorry, you know, for when you had to deal with me when I was like that, but thanks for the second chance. So
I agree.
That's kind of the thing I'm taking away from it.
I agree. I thought that was the best part. I thought that's really when he started to hone in on something, and I thought it was really cool that he quoted his late brother.
Yes.
You know, so
that was very moving.
Exactly. So we're there now. And any other of the speeches or maybe some of the performances?
We can get into that.
Yeah, let's get
we
into
can definitely
that.
get into that.
Yeah. I think one of them that really stuck out with both of us was Cynthia Erivo's her song for Harriet. I mean, what did you think of that?
That was an amazing performance. She performed stand up, which that's played over the credits of Harriet. And her voice is gorgeous. Her voice is beautiful.
Yeah.
She was a dual nominee last night, so she was nominated for Best Original Song and for Best Actress. Unfortunately, she didn't, come away with either. No. If she had, she would have. She would have been an EGOT winner. Actually. She would have had the whole deal there. But her voice, she sounded even better as she went, which didn't seem possible for as good as she sounded in the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I actually rewatched her performance this morning, and I'm still blown away by it. She had everyone in the palm of her hand.
Right, watching it, it was in the middle of it. I kind of said oh my God, this is great. And then it was before she was just nailing these notes toward the end. Mm-hmm. It was just. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was probably my favorite performance of the night. Although we had a surprise performance from from somebody who came back 17 years later. Mm-hmm. Eminem hit the stage. How'd you feel about that?
I feel like the internet might agree with me here. I was a little confused at first because I wasn't sure where that was coming from. Right. But I was a big Eminem fan in high school and college, so when he started singing, I was like, wow, he's here. He's here. He's actually singing. Yeah. And I really enjoyed his performance. Yeah. So I'm torn between whether I like Cynthia Erivo's or Eminem's performance better. Right. That was such a surprise, and that's one thing that I actually like about the Oscars hostless ceremony. It seems like there's more of an emphasis on the musical numbers now. Not that there wasn't before, but it seems like there's more care taken to them, and they can really wow us with these surprise performances.
That's true. As they were going through, as I tweeted, as you saw, I was enjoying the little musical montage. They were doing all the best best song winners, I believe, in a montage of their movies, and it got to 8 Mile and Eminem, and they weren't spending a lot of time on the songs, and all of a sudden they were way leading in to Lose Yourself. Mm-hmm. They played that whole opening that we all know, and I kind of jokingly said, "What's he gonna end up on stage or something?"
Well,
yeah, and then he just pops up and sings Lose Yourself, and I guess I just want to say it was interesting. I love the performance.
I really liked it. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. That's really a song of our generation,
it is,
so it was, but there was a lot of confusion in the audience. Then everyone got on board. Then he gets a standing ovation. So it kind of went through a bunch of stages, and was funny. My friend thought there was something wrong with my TV, and I said, "No, he's cursing."
Yes, yeah.
No, what's happening is he's cursing, and they're just dead air. They're going dead air to prevent the curses. So I personally enjoyed it. I would understand if people felt a different way about it. But how about Billie Eilish?
I thought her performance was really moving. I thought it was very appropriate for the, to be solemn to accompany the in memoriam. I don't know her songs that well, except for what I've heard on the radio, admittedly. I was surprised at how softly she sings, but
Very soft.
she seemed like a really good choice to
Right.
accompany one of the best Beatles songs of all time, Yesterday.
True, that's true. So that was great, and maybe this is a good time to roll into. We knew the Oscars would remember Kobe somehow, so he led the in memoriam, holding his Oscar, and they had a nice little quote from him, which was very accurate, to the situation. You got to keep going. You can't stop. You got to keep going, which is what he would want, and that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
Everyone that was close to him, we've done so much for him, and it was just a very appropriate quote to go along with this picture. We also had Spike Lee's suit with the 24, with the purple and gold. No surprise that Spike would do something like that. That was pretty cool, and also that was fitting that a former athlete won Best Animated Short.
Yeah, seriously.
So that was pretty cool, and he also gave a shout out to Kobe. Do you have anything to say about how the Oscars, remembered Kobe?
It was really nice to see because the crash was only a few weeks ago, so I think it's still fresh in everybody's mind.
Yes, yeah.
And his contributions were so many to basketball, to film. Just he had an effect on so many people.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to see the industry come together and find different ways to carry on his memory and carry on his legacy. I really liked Spike Lee's suit. It was just a very nice visual way of remembering.
That was my favorite part. I guess another thing I want to touch on is that we reached a point in the show where Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph were were on stage, and it got me thinking. How about these guys? These women, sorry, can host the show. I don't know how you feel about hostless or not, but I just feel it's weird. I feel more comfortable with hosts, and I think someone like these women could do it. I mean, what do you think about the host? Having a host, not having a host?
I'm actually digging not having a host. There were past years where I felt like it kind of dragged down the ceremony because they always went back to the host after the commercial, and like maybe 50% of the time the jokes would land.
Yeah.
Plus, you used to have those weird bits. Like I think this is the one I usually bring up, but Jimmy Kimmel on the tour bus, which maybe it's a little amusing, but then you're like, well, we've got awards to give out,
True.
So I'm actually leaning more toward the hostless format.
Yeah.
However, when you have two stars who are so engaging, like Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph, just watching them, I was also thinking it would be wonderful to see these two women hosts, you know? So if they decide to go back to a host format, they would get my vote. Right,
exactly. And if you're speaking of the speed, the Oscars lasted 3 minutes more than The Irishman.
Great tweet, by the way.
Thank you. That got a lot of traction. I was surprised. But I still think this award show could be tightened. It's still, we were kind of flying along in the beginning, which I think is as usual, and then we just kept doing like one category commercial, and it was just like. And I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong, but the Eminem part, I don't think there was even a category. I think they had the musical performance, and then they went to commercial. And I was just like, how did this happen? And I just felt like it was becoming, we'd do like a category commercial. And it was just like, the countdown started to be like 9, 7, 6. And I thought it dragged at the end. For me, honestly. And maybe that had to do with a lot of the similarities of a lot of the predictability of the Oscars.
Fair too,
maybe it had to do with that. I don't know, but I thought it dragged a little bit.
No, I think that's fair. I think it was, I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly, but I think last year it was a little over 3 hours. I think it was maybe 3 hours, let's say 17 minutes. I could be off by a minute or two. And if we're going by Irishman time, it's about a little more than 3.5 hours. So that's like an extra 20 minutes, and that makes a difference, frankly.
Right.
So
right.
I agree with you. I think there's some fat that could have been trimmed there.
Right. Absolutely.
Maybe smoother transitions.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. So I just think there's a way to get it down to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But let's talk about the pleasant. I'm sorry. Let's not talk about pleasant surprises yet. I kind of want to talk about what Parasite winning
Absolutely.
means. And unfortunately, I don't have like a great, a very like positive opinion about this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great, and I think it's awesome. But I compared it to Moonlight earlier.
Right.
And what really changed after Moonlight?
Well, based on Green Book winning, not much.
Nothing.
Not much.
Nothing. So, we could only hope that Parasite winning Best Picture and winning the night will change things.
Mm-hmm.
Will kind of grow this award show on a worldly basis. Give us more diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Give us more women. But I'll remain cynical because if it didn't change after Moonlight and we ended up with Green Book 4 years later or whatever it was, 3 years later, I don't know why I'm to believe that all of a sudden the Academy's going to change now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that?
I'm gonna be a little more hopeful.
I was hoping you would be.
About this than you. Yeah. Honestly, I think it has to do with what you said about diversity. Because coming into this show, the Oscars have been getting a lot of flack for the lack of diversity in the main above the line categories. The women were snubbed from the directing category. Out of your 20 nominees for the 4 acting categories, you only had 1 person of color. But then we start getting into categories like directing. And with Bong Joon-ho winning, you have your second director who's won the award for a non-English film for the second time, actually second year in a row.
Mm-hmm.
You had Alfonso Cuarón win for Roma last year.
Yep.
So maybe we're seeing some progress there. And then you have a South Korean film with subtitles win Best Picture. This has never happened before in the history of the Academy. In 92 years, the Academy can still do something to surprise us. So one of the things I'm taking away from this is that subtitles, they don't have to be barriers to films. They can be gateways to films. So I'm hoping that this is momentum that the Academy rolls with. We don't know what kind of films we're going to see nominated next year. But if the members of the Academy are demonstrating an openness to vote for and propel a foreign language film to Best Picture, then who knows what the future can hold.
Right, absolutely. But I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to be fooled by this until it starts happening on a regular basis.
True.
I can't be.
It's
But
a step
I hope you're
forward,
right.
But we don't know if next year's going to be a step back.
Right. Yeah. That's a part of our dynamic too. So I'm happy you took the positive because I usually take the negative spin. So all right, let's do it. Pleasant surprises. Do you want to start us off?
Sure.
Yes. Here you go. You need it.
Thank you. I do need it. Thank you. We had a good time with this in our previous video, so we unanimously decided to bring it back. So pleasant surprises. I know I admitted to being mixed about this, but I am happy to see Parasite rise the way it did. It rose even more than I thought it would. But again, like considering what I said before, I see this as hopeful for the Academy in terms of the kind of films that we can see win in the future. So, and maybe you would think that the spotlight that's being shined on Parasite will encourage more people to seek it out and see it. So maybe that'll happen.
Absolutely.
Pleasant surprises, Ford versus Ferrari. I still can't get over that. They won 2 awards. So it was just nice to see an entertaining, well-made film about racing. About racing come away with 2 awards.
Yep.
Eminem, hey, nice to see you back. Nice to see you back. And I do want to give Cynthia Erivo a shout out just because her performance was
Yes.
so moving. Again, like just it really, we were talking on Twitter about it.
Yeah.
It was so wonderful. So I want to learn more about her, frankly, and the kind of projects she's doing. And I do want to give a shout out to the female winners because even though they were noticeably absent from the directing category, there were strides made by women in technical categories.
Yeah.
So I want to give a shout out to Hilda Guanadotir. Hope I said that right.
That wasn't bad, yeah. No, that was good.
For winning, she became the first solo female composer to invest original score for Joker. So she got on the board there, which is nice to see. The winners for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood production design were two women, Barbara Lake and Nancy High.
Yeah.
Little Women got on there for costume design, so it won one award last night, and Jacqueline Duran won that. So I just want to give a shout out to the women. You know, thank you for doing what you do, and it's nice to see you recognized. So,
absolutely, absolutely, love it.
And I will
You'll pass this along to me? All right. I guess I'll give some as well. Well, first of all, I would like to second everything that Rebecca said, because I actually totally agree with it. Like I said earlier, putting aside that I wanted 1917 to win the night, Parasite, it's so much bigger for the Academy and the world of movies for Parasite to win. So I could accept that defeat. I'm okay with it. You go, Bong Joon-ho. I loved hearing all your speeches. You're classy. You're a great guy. At least it seems like it in what we've learned about you this award season. And you keep making great movies. We'll see them.
Absolutely.
Just to start there, I want to shout out Jojo Rabbit. They picked up a win for Best Adapted Screenplay. I didn't see it coming. Maybe I should have. I don't know. But big win for Jojo Rabbit. Absolutely love the movie. Love seeing Taika Waititi on stage. He has been absolutely fantastic. Again, I think we're going to see a lot more from him. Mm-hmm. He's already had Thor Ragnarok, amazing. And now he's an Oscar winner. So here's to you, Taika. Jojo Rabbit, awesome. I also want to... Okay, we all know how much I did not like the film Joker.
What?
I know. Is this
What's
the first
this
you're
about?
hearing of this?
What?
But I also want to take a minute to lay down my arms, lay down my sword, or whatever, and I'd like to also shout out Hilda Guanadotir. When she got on stage, and I said this because of my opinion, I don't think the score is that great. Mm-hmm. It's because I don't like the movie. It's not because of what she did. Mm-hmm. It is exactly what the movie asked of her, and she absolutely nailed it. But that moment when she got on stage and she originally went to the mic, and then the ovation was so overwhelming mm-hmm. that she went back from it. That was a moment in history, and it was so, it was a breakthrough for women in an award show where the women were not that well represented. Mm-hmm. And I thought that the women who won really broke through, and that was honestly one of the special moments of the Oscars, was seeing her, not even anything that was said, it was just that the audience's response to her breaking through and just her pure elation of just kind of going leaning back and sort of taking it in. I was like, wow, this is cool. This is very cool. And I loved what she said at the end about mothers and daughters, girls and women. You've got something in your heart, let it out and give it to the world. We
Absolutely.
need it. And so I honestly, even though, like I said, not a fan of the movie, not a fan of the score, love the moment. And let's see, anything else? I want to second Ford versus Ferrari. And I think that should just about do it for me. As much as I want to keep this foam finger on, I think we've covered it. Also, one more moment when the show was ending and the audience would not let it end.
Yes.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that just shows you right there the love that the audience, that the industry has for Parasite.
Exactly.
So that speaks to the film's power to, you know, to touch people across subtitles.
Yeah, again, and another great moment in history. I mean, we had a lot of historical breakthroughs, even though going in, like, there was a huge lack of diversity, and I'm not saying there wasn't.
Right.
But it was nice to see that we had the breakthroughs that we had.
Yes.
And to get Tom Hanks in the front row saying, like, let the lights up and everything, and it was...
Mr. Rogers was on board.
Yeah, he was. He was. So I just want to shout out those things. Those were really the pleasant surprises for me. Now we'll throw the foam finger down. Any disappointments?
I wish that 1917 had been able to get one of the main wins. Again, thrilled for Parasite, but maybe if they could have split the two big awards. Just because when you see a piece of filmmaking as tremendous as 1917 with the one-take style, and I found it very emotional as well.
Yes.
It does hurt a little bit that it didn't get one of those top honors.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we had George Mackay there.
I know.
Apparently it's Mackay. I've been calling him McKay.
Oh, I thought it was
He
McKay
said, "Hi,
too.
I'm George Mackay." I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Sorry, George.
Yeah.
Our bad.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree. That was my disappointment. It's not to say that it came away empty. I mean, winning 3 Oscars is, you know, nothing to scoff at.
No,
I mean,
not at all.
It's incredible. It's an incredible movie, but you know, sometimes, you know, and like I said, in sports, sometimes you have 2 great teams going at it. Somebody has to lose, and it just happened to be 1917. Doesn't take away that it's a great film.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Parasite just took the day. Another great film just took the day. Any other disappointments for you?
I think, like, okay, I had a weird feeling that Little Women wasn't going to win Adapted Screenplay. I was hoping I would be wrong, and the film I picked to win didn't win either, so I picked the wrong film to win over it. I was thinking The Irishman still had a last-ditch effort to win, and it ended up being Jojo Rabbit, which is the, you know, happy part of that equation.
Right.
I think when you have a film as good as Little Women is, and female-empowered with a fantastic female director, I would have liked it to take home a little more hardware, but... It just wasn't that film's night last night, so. Yeah,
exactly. You would think in my list of disappointments it would be Joker winning anything, but like I said, I honestly, the categories that I was worried about were anything but the 2 that it won. I figured, you know, it's obviously a lock for Joaquin Phoenix, and it's. I was pretty confident it was heading Hilder's way. But like I said, I'm actually not disappointed that Joker won 2 Oscars. I think
because it lost 9 awards.
Because it lost 9 awards.
Yes.
So that was nice. Sorry, this is the disappointment section, right? Sorry.
Sorry, we've changed the tide here.
I'm happy about that. I guess the thing that I find disappointing was that all the actor categories went the same.
Yes.
As they have, and I have never understood why in every category the winner was a lock for the entire award season. It doesn't usually happen. Like, it usually happens for like 1 category or like maybe 2, and it was like 4 of them. So that was just, to me, it was just boring, and I don't understand what separated, what separated them so much. I found that baffling, so I was a little disappointed that stayed the same.
Especially since the Oscar nominations, they tend to change up the people nominated in these categories sometimes. So, like, somebody could win a Golden Globe, but then they're not nominated for an Oscar.
Right.
Or, you know, you have, like, a different situation there, but just, like, there were some different people nominated for the Oscars, and maybe they would have risen, but they didn't.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of strange not to see that.
Right. I'm with you. For me, the length was a little much.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what it was like for other people who don't know the Oscars as well as we do. So I guess those are the disappointments for me. Not a ton. Overall, I'm just happy that a movie like Parasite wins the night instead of a movie like Green Book.
Yes.
That just left such a sour taste in my mouth last year. So I think all in all, I'm good with the winners generally.
I think so too. I am. I'm on the same boat. Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? I think we covered everything.
I think we're good. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. I just want to say thank you to you. It's been fun working with you.
It's been fun working with you too.
Thank you. The work that goes into this. It's a lot of work, and it goes beyond us. You know, we're the people in front of the camera. We're the people in front of on the cover of pages, and so our faces are all over this. But there's also a few people's faces who aren't on this. Caitlin West, who's been editing these videos and reading all our copy, and Kristen O'Malley designing that. Chad Sebring taking that photo. Taking us in the alley of the Times Tribune, really working, coming up that I needed a pinky ring.
Yep. So you can see it again.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of work went into that.
Yeah, so a lot of work, and I just want to thank you, and I want to thank all those people for everything they did for us. This is fun, but now we can take a breath.
Yeah.
Because it's very busy.
It is, yeah.
So we will be, well, do you want to speak to any of that?
We will be picking up the reviews again on our blog, which is at accessnepa.com/take2. So, you can look forward to our next review next week. So we'll be, going back to that. And then you have something to announce.
Oh, yes, I do.
Uh-huh.
We had our winner of the Oscar. You picked the Oscars 2020. We have a winner, and the winner is Brandon. Brandon, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Brandon.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, we
late
have
on
to do
the
the
drum
drum roll.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, congratulations to Brandon. Apparently, you were one of only 4 to get all them right.
That's impressive right there. So.
Which was better than we did.
Yep.
Which we should probably touch on.
We should. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
We both went 3 for 5, which is 6 for 10,
which is 60%.
60%.
Failing great.
So we failed, is what we did.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that we were on it. We just went the wrong direction.
Yes. We were close though. We both had Parasite as a factor. We just didn't know it would become one.
Right.
So.
We didn't go that way. Yeah. So shout out to Brandon for knowing that it would go that way.
Good move, yeah.
That is impressive. But yeah, so, say we go, I pick Parasite for Best Director and you pick Parasite for Best Picture and I pick Parasite for Original Screenplay, and I don't know how you were supposed to guess that Jojo Rabbit was going to win Adapted Screenplay.
No, that started getting momentum late, so I just didn't see that one coming.
Right. I just think that, we should, if we do a little bit of a pivot, we shift a little bit. We're like a 9. We're like a 9 of 10, 10 of 10. We're right there.
So close.
But the numbers are what they are, Rebecca.
We can't change them now.
We can't change them now. That is a 6 of 10. We'll try to do better next year. But for now, it's been fun. Like Rebecca said, keep following us. accessnepa.com/take2, the number. So keep following us there, and we'll be back probably with videos in between and back for the Oscars next year. We'll see you guys. Have a good day, night, whenever you're watching this.
Bye. Thanks again.